Esau was angered that Jacob stole his birthright, so he went against his father's commands and mixed his seed with the Canaanites. Esau knew that mixing his seed would displease his parents. When Esau was 40 years old, he took 2 wives from the Hittite tribe, Basemath and Judith. If you look in Genesis 26:34, where it says, and I quote, "And Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Basemath the daughter of Elon the Hittite." Esau and Judith's first child was cursed with death. She then bore him twins, Qatar and Jibed, who were also cursed with death at the age of 18 by a falling rock. This was the pain to Esau for disobeying his father's laws. In the same day Judith also died, giving birth to another child. This child lived. His name was Al-Quwa. From Al-Quwa was the birth of the dark-skinned yellow-hair Aborigines. They moved south to the Far East, known today as Australia. Esau's Hittite wife Basemath was the daughter of Elon the Hittite. She was the second wife of Esau. Again Esau went against the commandments and took a wife from the tribe of the Canaanites. This wife, Basemath, bore 3 sons to Esau. These 3 sons were Shurin, Mut, and Kukuman, and twin daughters to Bia and Sienna. And from the result of Esau mixing his seed came the Edomite people, Mongolian race. This was the start of the Chinese race. Esau, in trying to right his wrong, of marrying women from the cursed tribe of the Canaanites, Esau then sought a 3rd wife, but this time he took an Ishmaelite wife from his uncle Ishmael's tribe, who were Nubian. Genesis 28:1-9, her name was also Basemath and was later changed to Mahalath. Mahalath bore Esau 3 children. She gave birth to 2 sons, Ruel and Yaban, and 1 daughter Malaya. The first son was named Ruel. He was pure brown in seed, yet called an Edomite because he came out brownish red. Refer to Genesis 36:13. Their second son was Yaban, and he was also brownish red. Their daughter was named Malaya, and she was dark brown. They all had woolly hair. They yielded the Japanese people. After Esau's father Isaac died, Esau took a 4th wife of the Hittite tribe named Adah. She bore him a son named Eliphaz. Refer to Genesis 36:10-13. Esau's 5th wife, who was Aholibamah, was a Hivite of the Canaanite tribe. Refer to Genesis 36:2, and she had 3 sons, Jeish, Halam, and Korah, who was a Korean. By marrying women of the cursed seed of Canaan, Esau broke one of the most important commandments handed down to Abraham from the Most High, and that commandment was not to marry any woman of the Canaanite tribe. So why do the Israeli church and other black Jews or Israelites believe Esau to be a Caucasian? Can the Israeli church or any other so-called black Jews or Israelites answer this question honestly? Which one of these brothers did the most deceitful thing, Jacob or Esau? Think about the Bible for a minute, and think about the story of Jacob, Esau, Isaac and Rebekah. Think of who was the wicked person. Esau's brother, Jacob, and his mother, Rebekah, deceived Isaac while he was blind. Now you tell me which one of them was wicked? The Israeli church, Hebrew Israelite, and so-called black Jews believe that Esau is the father of the Caucasian race. However, if you read your Bible you will see that Jacob did the devilish deed. So what they are saying, is that indeed they are devilish. Now think if Esau was prompted to do devilishment because he was in the right and his birthright was stolen from him by his own brother, Jacob, who they say is God's chosen, then what they are really saying is that the white man is evil by justification of something that they did to him. They don't even understand what they are saying. The Israelites are saying that they are Jacob and that Esau is the Edomites, the wicked white race, according to them. Again, if what these Israelite groups are saying is true, then that means that Esau, white people, are really evil because of something that they, Jacob, a black man, did to them. Then that makes you, the Israelites, perpetrators of all the evil in the world. And another point, Jacob stole the birthright from his brother Esau. You cannot steal from yourself, so that would mean that it was not his. Thus, the birthright rightfully belonged to Esau. Right? So are you telling me that the Lord, Yahuwah, intended for the wicked white man Esau to receive the blessing, birthright? If that is what you are saying, then you are no longer the true Israelites, the Edomites are. And according to you they are the devil's seed. Now why would God plan for the devil's seed to be the inheritors of a blessing? Well, that is what you are saying. You all are not reading your Bible. Get your facts straight. Why do so many organizations such as the Hebrew Israelites, so-called black Jews, and the Israeli church continue to tell lies and mislead so many people? Because it's so much easier, lying to people. Also because sensationalism is much easier than explaining facts, and converting ego-tripping bums who want to stand and listen to people screaming and yelling on the streets of New York on their platforms, trying to give people misinformation, not once proving facts. When you watch those Israeli church members yelling and screaming on the streets, 90% of their screaming is referring you to quotes that don't say anything to what they claim is their doctrine. If people would take the time and stop one of these so-called Israeli church members, and question them with the book 360 question to ask the Israeli church, that would be the end of their church, because they can't deal with the facts. And remember, that it is not only the Israeli church, it is all Hebrew Israelite sects going around teaching these lies that must be cleaned up. That is why I, Dr. Malachi Z. York, am here, to bring right knowledge and to clear up all misconceptions. Again, don't believe me, check it out. These different groups get so caught up in their preaching that they just start making things up, and that's why I came to tell you all, to question these brothers. When you see that spirit, question it to see whether it is of God or not. Because many false prophets have gone out into the world, 1 John 4:1. Question these people, make it your business to ask them questions. Get the facts. I, Dr. Malachi Z. York and the Holy Tabernacle Ministries, HTM, am not teaching you to hate the Caucasian, Canaanites, because of his condition. I don't hate people. I just want you to understand where they originated and where you and the Oriental originated, meaning the Caucasoid, Mongoloid and so-called Negroid. If you recall the story of Jesus, Yeshua, Jesus, didn't hate that Canaanite woman, he just didn't touch her. There is a big difference in Matthew 15:26, he didn't hate, he just was making it clear to everyone that he was only here for a specific people, as he states in Matthews 15:24, and I quote, "But he, Jesus, answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel." This is clearly a racial statement, a racial bias for Jesus to state that he was only sent here for the Israelites, which would be the seed of Jacob, is a form of racism. Though he is not saying he hates other races or that you should treat them bad. The same thing applies to Abraham when he says in Genesis 24:3, where Abraham makes his servant Eliezer swear not to pick a wife for his son Isaac, from the Canaanite tribe, the exact same tribe in Matthews 15:21, where he met this woman who was a Sidonite in the land of Sidon and Tyre, Phoenicia. And Sidon was the son of Canaan and his wife Hildar, who was a Hurite. Then in Deuteronomy chapter 1 it tells the Israelites they have the right to kill the Amorites, and Amor was the fourth son of Canaan by his wife Hatara, who was a Halabine Flugelrod. Genesis 24:3, and I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven, and the God of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell. The Bible repeatedly speaks about the Canaanites in a derogatory way and orders the Israelites to avoid them, don't marry them. And likewise Jesus, being an Israelite, dealt with this woman in this manner. So he did not answer her or touch her. Do you know the story of the Canaanite woman in Matthew 15:23? Jesus just blatantly ignored her, and I quote, Matthew 15:23, but he, Jesus, answered her not a word. If you want our view on racism, read the Holy Tabernacle Ministries Family Guide book. We have outgrown the ignorance of racism. No one wins the race in racism. But this will not prevent me from teaching the facts, the right knowledge. Truth is truth. The book of Genesis deals with the genealogy, and the purpose is to know the difference between the seed of God and the seed of the devil. It says in Genesis 3:15, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. This rivalry between these two seeds has always existed, and if you go back to old doctrine it still is the same. Many of us have stepped off the bus and remained off, or got off the bus where we stepped on. You have those that talk and say we don't know where this information is coming from. There are those who have stopped following us closely because they feel the doctrine has changed or they can't follow. As Baba has said many times before, we are crossing the desert and we have come so far that we are past high noon, and if you turn back to help someone and they are not coming, neither one of you will make it across the desert before the sun sets. So family, if you are coming, keep coming and come quickly. Do not be distracted along the way. The God seed, biblically speaking, would be Adam, the seed of the devil would be Enos. How do you know? Well, look at Genesis 6:5. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Enos means what? Forgetful. There were 8 ancient weapons. 4 that were above the earth, 4 that were below the earth. Yellowstone Park, Old Faithful is one of those weapons. If you look at Genesis, the flood water came from below the earth and then it rained for 40 days and nights. Genesis 7:11, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. Genesis 7:4, for yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. The water weapon also includes your tsunamis. When we speak of the word race, it would be more correct to say species. Just as you have many cats, domestic, your mouser, your calico, your Mao, And then you have many species of wild cats, the cheetahs, lions, tigers, leopard and puma etc. All are different species and would not under normal circumstances mix. It is the same with people or human beings. Asians have 3 species, Caucasians have 6 species, Dravidians have 7 species, and Nagar you have 9 species. The defects that man had in the beginning was from Mother Nindi using the 7 daughters of Pleiades as birth mothers, and then Enki stepped in and made corrections. If you have 2 chemicals you want to mix, you put it in a test tube and a mixer and get a reaction. When you bring a male and female together a chemical reaction takes place. Example, if men were hydrogen and women were helium, if you mix together, there would be heat. A woman can generate enough heat in her womb to melt a penny. Just like the sun, hydrogen and helium, a chemical reaction. The same with food. The brain, whenever you are eating the brain has to think where the food goes. When you eat, where does the food go? Food goes to the brain first. When you eat it goes to the brain to determine what can be used and what is waste. Now, what does sperm have? A head and a tail. What is it doing? When the sperm is released it's racing to the egg. Why? For survival. The sperm distinctively races towards the egg means what? That it is thinking there are millions of other sperms racing towards the egg. The sperm is thinking, it has a head. That's what happens during sex. What happens when you take sperm orally? Orally, it goes into the mouth of some women or men. The first place it goes is to the brain. The thought of the sperm fuses with the brain will use it because it needs protein. The sperm has thoughts from the individual and once it enters, thoughts from the sperm fuses together with the brain and changes the thought pattern of the individual who swallows it. Remember, you are what you eat. Potatoes, you chew it and swallow. The body takes what it needs and expels the rest. The white corpuscles are your defenders. When you chew the potato it travels to the stomach and gets into the bloodstream. Is the potato thinking? Yes. Every time you eat there's a conversation going on in your mouth. Your brain says chew the food so you can digest it. The taste buds recognize the different spices, lets you know this food is good for the blood, a conversing in the mouth. Messages are being sent to the brain to figure out what to do with the food, how to utilize the food, to take the protein and vitamins out. Food can also affect your thinking and decisions you make. The energy of the food, if it's an animal, depending on whatever that animal, food, was thinking, going through when it got slaughtered, before you put it in your mouth. You may be chewing fear, poison or anger, that can affect your mood. Veggies have intelligence for it to grow. If you can pick it, it's intelligent. If it sits for a while it starts to sprout and grow, that's survival, it's thinking. If you were a meat eater and then went vegetarian, you eat soy burgers, boca, veggie, burgers. But that taste is trying to survive, that taste has become a part of your DNA, and it's still trying to survive, and it tricks your brain. Sugar actually interferes with our DNA. Interferes with the arrangement and creates junk DNA, that's why we don't have control over our DNA. It reduces control of our body and disrupts how DNA replicates. We are not where we should be, we are not in the right place on the planet. Everything we do now is stifled because of sugar. It's really, really bad. Candy is pushed at every holiday. We may be too under the spell, the elders may have to look for our children to break the spell. Children still have a chance. If monitored, they can be saved by preserving their crystal. Like keloid, we actually were able to regrow our own parts. Us having the ability to keloid is stifled because of sugar. It's not that you can't be corrected, you just have to know what your body is composed of. Knowing about your body, how much is it worth? $76.42 the chemical body weight is worth. We need to know about the chemicals our body needs, so we know how to balance ourselves. That way we will learn to eat to live and not the other way around. Sharps and flats in music can have an affect on us. We need to know where we vibrate, clean up the poisons. In Middle Eastern countries the tone pitch is different from ours. Muslims are neutral, they all stay the same. They use a lot of sharps. Keyboards used to have 88 keys, now they remove 2 octaves, just goes back to the fact they do anything to block us from being gods. The older keyboards have 88 keys and the new ones have 64. We really need to get into our own environment. Know that we are listed as a hate group. Who do we hate? We have Latino Nuwaubians, Caucasian Nuwaubians, Asian Nuwaubians, so who do we hate? Or do we oppose the way the system breeds racism? We don't hate anyone, we hate what they do to people, we talk about injustices that are done to people. Never watch pornography. Activated by energy, you damage your being. The light coming off the screen is designed to destroy you, so you can't transform. It's a concentrated effort preventing you from transforming, controlling you to keep you from elevating. The pixels are energy related, they are activated by energy. They are remotely controlling you. If it didn't have a physical reaction on you, you wouldn't react to it. Every time you watch that you have to react. This often breaks up homes and ruin relationships. Its sole purpose is to control you and what you think about. Most importantly, it destroys you. Stop watching it, men and women. Why is it in every other species? An animal without color, they say it's an albino. Except with human, how come you don't say that about Caucasus? Passive-aggressive? No, only aggressive. This is the female attribute. In other species, the female was the hunter. There's really no such thing as passive, just wage it on, existence. Even the most passive person will become aggressive in a hostile environment to survive, dominate and need to survive, as male has changed this to a male planet. The whole planet was thrown off because of male dominance. Before the male becomes circumcised, the foreskin covers the top of the kadub, penis. If you tap your skin, does it really hurt? Not really. If you cut it, it will hurt. The epidermis is the first layer. If you cut the first layer of skin, it's really sensitive when you cut through it. It would be hard for a male to ejaculate before the skin is cut, makes him less sensitive. The real reason for circumcision is for the man to ejaculate faster, to produce faster, to have more children. It had nothing to do with cleanliness. If you bathe in the Nile every day, that's not an issue. We're in the Aquarian age. That's why the water of the planet is starting to transform. Frogs are being born deformed, different species coming about. People are having nightmares. The more you deny the 30 personalities, they will come in your dreams and attack you, because you are transforming and coming into divine self. They are trying to destroy you. They don't want you to transform, you are their host. The moment you try to eat right, chant, read the actual facts, the 30 personalities don't like it. You are taking control. You are becoming a Nazgûr.